Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Christine and I am going to show you what I put in my Copycat Thin Mint cookies. I'm sure you've heard of them. There might even be some in your freezer. So I am trying to ditch those and do the healthy version. So I thought I'd show you what I put in mine. So come on with. Here we go. So we are making this recipe with almond flour. I've used it in several other of my recipes, but this one, you're just not even gonna believe the taste of it. So I have 3 cups measured out of almond flour. We're starting with pretty much all the ingredients together. The trick is kind of folding it together. Okay, and then we're doing cacao. You can also use cocoa powder. Just trying to be as healthy as we can in this recipe. There's not a ton of added sugar or anything. And we are going to do 4 heaping tablespoons of cacao. And you know, more or less to taste, but I kind of find that this is pretty similar to how it tastes. And then onto the salt. We're doing half a teaspoon of salt, more or less to taste, obviously. And then for the fun part, so I did buy some peppermint extract and I was really happy to find it. It's kind of one of those things that you don't really see real often. And I am putting in 1 teaspoon, and that seems to be just about right. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you're actually going to put some of the extract in the chocolate topping as well. Kind of spilled it on my hands a little bit. And then I have my own homemade vanilla. I'm going to also be putting in 1 teaspoon of that, more or less to taste, but it kind of offsets the super minty flavor. And then the next part is optional. I am using some organic maple syrup. You can use honey, but it definitely changes the texture. I've made it with honey before, but I am going to be adding, might sound like a lot, 5 tablespoons. Don't mind the doorbell just ringing. 3, I think that was 3, 4, there we go, and 5. And more or less to taste. Okay. Then I have my coconut oil, which I did warm up, so it is the melted version. This is 2 tablespoons. And it says, you know, you're supposed to do it softened, but I find that melting it really helps the patties that we're gonna make. So I'm just gonna add that in, give it a scrape, make sure we get all of it. And then we're doing our eggs. So 2 eggs. Full-on eggs. I have my oven preheating right now to 350 it is. Let me set that aside for a second. And then you're just basically gonna fold it together until it starts to make like a batter. Okay, so this is what it's supposed to look like, that real kind of nice chocolatey looking batter. I'm gonna go grab my cookie sheet and we're going to get these pattied up and baked. So here we go. I am just going to use my cookie scoop. This one's a little bit bigger, so I'm not quite filling it to the top and like, you know, overflowing or anything. And I've got kind of wet hands, and I'm just gonna roll them in a ball. So just like a regular cookie, so it's in a ball. And then I'm just gonna patty it down. I'm gonna flatten it down to, you know, about a 1/4 inch thick. And we're just gonna do that. It kind of is a good size. You can make them bigger if you really wanna go for the gusto, and you can make them smaller. So this is just kind of cookie size, right? This is kind of what they look like. So I'm just gonna do that, and there's my oven. It's ready. So I'll see you in a little bit. So you can kind of see that it does get messy, but this is one of those doughs that it does so well. It really sticks together, and You can actually roll it out and be a little more, you know, perfect shape. But I mean, you really can put them in a really nice shape. So I kind of found that kind of patting it back and forth, because you want about, I want to say like a 1/4 inch of thickness so that they all kind of cook the same. So I'm down to the last one here, and then I'm going to get them in the oven. And that's the other thing, it's really hard to tell when they're done, so you do kind of have to keep an eye on them. So from 9 to 12 minutes, just depending on what your oven looks like. So let me get my hands washed, and we're gonna get these in the oven so that they can get cooling, because they need to be totally cooled before we put on the famous chocolate topping. We're getting them in just on the top rack. It's fully heated up to 350, and then we're gonna set a timer for 9 minutes, and we're gonna watch it and give them a check. We're gonna do a lift and check the underneath. All right, we're just gonna check them. The 9 minutes are up. And I just don't want them to get overdone. Yeah. And I'm just kind of looking at them. No, they're okay. So I'm gonna go a couple minutes longer and make sure. All right, I just turned the oven off. The timer went off. So let's get them out. And there's the other one. Perfect timing. And we'll get them over onto the cooling rack. Let's look at these. Oh yeah, these are done too. Perfect, perfect timing. Okay, nothing too exciting here, but I'm just getting these off of the baking sheet. And then the other trick is make sure you keep your parchment paper, because after we put the chocolate on top of them, we're going to utilize this, and then this is what's going to go in the fridge. So let that cool down as well. I do have them kind of spaced apart, just so that they cool a little faster. And you can always speed it up too by putting it in the fridge or freezer or whatever you want. But I'm not in too big of a hurry today, so I'm just going to let them cool down naturally. We're pretty close to being totally cooled, so I'm going to get going on making our chocolate dip. So I measured out roughly about 1.5 cups-ish of dark chocolate chips. Those are the ones from Azure Standard, or actually they're the semi-sweets. And then I measured out 3 teaspoons of coconut oil, and then I've got my peppermint extract again, and I'm putting in about 1/2 teaspoon. And we're going to melt this all together in the microwave, just in really short increments. I'm just doing about 20 seconds at a time and stirring it, and then we'll come back and we're gonna start the dipping. All right, I've got the chocolate all ooey gooey melty, being real careful not to burn it, just doing real small increments, and melted everything together. So this is where the parchment paper from the original baking comes into play. So it's all cooled down just like the cookies, and I'm just gonna start popping them in there, and I'm using a spatula to kind of flip them and just get them doused. I can stick one more in there, so like kind of 4 at a time. I like to use a flat bowl also to melt the chocolate in. It just seems to work better. And then using this little spatula, you can pop them out, kind of. It's pretty fun. And you're just gonna set them right on your tray. You can kind of tell which end is which, but kind of at this point it doesn't matter because everything is covered in chocolate. And then you're going to put them in the fridge for at least an hour. Speed it up by putting it in the freezer. You can also do that. But I am going to get to dipping, and I'll bring you back once I am ready to stick them in the fridge. Okay, here they are, covered with minty goodness, and I'm ready to stick them in the fridge for an hour. Okay, so we have been chilling them for 1 hour, and they turned out stupendous. They literally look just like the cookie, roughly about the same shape. And then all of the details of the recipe, all of the quantities, It literally makes one full box. I believe there's 32 in a Girl Scout cookie box, and this makes between 33 and 36 cookies depending on the size that you use. And what do they do with those type of cookies? They put them in the freezer, and you can absolutely do that with these and bring them to a whole new level. But definitely keep them in an airtight container in the refrigerator and snitch them, you know, what have you. They're not quite as bad as regular Girl Scout cookies. There's 9 ingredients. I counted them out. And yeah, so I did already snitch a bite, but I will do another bite for you on camera. You literally would never know the difference. That's what they look like inside. And especially having them chilled, just the coolness of the mint is so good. You definitely can also change it up a little bit and do dark chocolate. I just had the semi-sweet chocolate chips on hand. You can do milk chocolate. You can do all kinds of fun things with this recipe. So let me know down in the comments what you think of it. Family favorite, friend favorite. People wanted me to make them. We have a get together on Sunday. It's a holiday coming up. So I made them. And I'm not sure how many. I think maybe it'll be 2 per person, I think, because I think there's 14 people coming, but definitely they'll be a hit. So thanks for stopping by my little channel. And if you like super simple recipes like this or copycat recipes, hit that like and subscribe. And I will see you next time on Christine's Routines. Take care and God bless. I'm gonna finish this up real quick. Hey friends, oh. Hey friends, hey. And today we are put to the challenge of putting, does that make sense? Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Christine, and today I am putting to rest, what am I putting to rest? Basically 1 box of Girl Scout cookies. So I think there's 32. Oh boy. Start over.